Let's talk about it. Hosted by Dennis Martin Sr. Bridging the gap between generations. Baby boomers to millennials. Protest. Pandemic. Life lessons. Monday, June 15th at 8:30 p.m. Facebook and YouTube Live. Guests, LaTrice Pace. Dennis D.L. Martin. Lena Patrice Martin. Blake Pace. Aarion Pace Rhodes. Join us for the conversation. Bridging the gap between generations.
Well, hey, everybody. It is Pastor Martin, and we are on tonight to Let's Talk About It. And I've got some guests tonight that will be sharing with us. And so I'm so grateful that you've joined us tonight. Please do me a favor as you're coming in. Please share with someone, and please, share to your family, your friends. And we're going to be talking tonight about Let's Talk About It. And it's going to be a very interesting conversation. So we're bringing everyone in. So let's get right to it so we can get right to what we're going to be talking about and dealing with tonight. So let me bring everybody in. Everybody. There we go. We got everybody. I'm going to ask everybody to unmute yourself and just please say hello to everybody.
What's up, everybody? Hey, Aarion.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
All right. We still got one more that's on the way. That's Lena. She's coming. And so we're going to get started. Tonight, we're going to have a conversation. And I thought I would pull family in tonight so we could talk about, bridging the gap. Everyone's talking about the gap, and then we see the things that are happening today. So it gives us to understand that there's probably a lot that's going on, a lot of things that's taking place. And so everyone on here tonight, you'll find I'm the oldest on here. I'm 59 and trying to make it to 60 with all this stuff going on. Everyone else is, if they feel free to tell their ages, they can. But, so we're dealing with, I guess, what you would call baby boomer or what, I don't know, and down to millennials or either maybe even younger. But we wanted to have a conversation because a lot of times, as we go in families and in the world, everyone is pushing it. There was a period of time that everyone was talking about baby boomers. Everyone's talking about millennials, and then Generation X, Z. So everyone's talking about these generations. And when we're looking at it, we see that there may be some gaps, or there may be some things that we need to bridge and bring together. So tonight we want to talk about it, and that is bridging those gaps and doing those things. So let's talk about that tonight. Let me first of all say, most of you that are probably watching and most of you that are looking, let me put this, make sure, because I got some comments here already. All right, let's see. Somebody make sure everybody can hear. Everybody say hello. All right.
Hello. Testing 1, 2.
Hello.
All right.
Hello. Hello. Testing.
Yeah. Tell me if y'all can hear me before I continue. If you can hear me, let me know. Just say I can hear you on the comments. Let us know. Let's see. All right. I can imagine somebody put thumbs up, so I guess that means they can hear me. Okay. All right. They say they can hear. So here we go. Hold on. Let me. That should go. That goes Lele Street. Look at it.
What's up?
What's happening?
So now let's look at this. Let's talk about it for a minute. Okay, here we go. So I wanted to do this, and so I pulled family together tonight because when I think about, we talk about bridging the gap between generations, and we talk about the gap between generations. Like I said, I'm the oldest on this call. Everyone else is under 50 years old or whatever they may be. And when we start talking about going back, I think about now they're doing iPods and iPads, and music is digital. In my day, the cassette was a big thing. Matter of fact, I can go back further than that. It was not cassette tapes. It was the reel-to-reel tapes. And then we came into cassette tapes. Then we had albums, or we had 45. Some of you may be old enough to remember that when you went to the store to buy something that was recorded, you bought it on that little bitty 45, and you put it on the big record player, but you had to have that little bitty thing to go on there so you can stick 45 on there. And then we had 8 tracks. Anybody know anything about 8-track? We had 8-track players. It was crazy. And so, when I start thinking about that, now they may know about it, but probably never really seen it. 8 tracks was a big thing back in my day. Cassette tape. I got a whole trunk full of cassette tapes, and thank God I still got something to play it on. We got VHS tapes. Thank God I still got something to play them on. Now we're talking about TV. Now we're talking about all these TVs with all these channels. When I was young, we only had 3 channels, and they came on at night, and the TV went off at midnight. And it was Ted Turner that brought about the all night stuff when he created 17. And 17 wasn't what it is today. During that time, it was almost like a comedy thing. But he was the first one that had TV staying on all night. And we had no electronics. Our electronics was not cameras. We couldn't sit and do this. We couldn't talk on phones. And, we had no cell phones or whatever. Pay phones and all that stuff. So I'm just sort of telling my age. That's how far we go back. But now, when you think about it, every one of them tonight, basically, they've never been without electronics. Mm-hmm. They've always had. They came here with electronics. I'm looking at my grandkids. They're controlling electronics today. I'm talking about literally controlling electronics and master electronics, know how to do all the iPads and stuff. And even to King, I think he'd be 10 months in a few days. He'd be picking up the phone, and he knows some about the screen supposed to move. So they've never been without electronics. We didn't have electronics. So that is a big gap to the place that there's some older people that don't even know how to work their phones. Yeah. Because they don't know anything. All they know is it's the phone and you dial it. But all this other stuff we do, texting and sending files, they have no clue. So you're talking about that big gap. You're talking about time and advancement, and you're talking about work. And so tonight I wanted to get them on to talk about this bridging the gap. What are they from their perspective of what do they think and how do they think? A lot of times we want them to do things, but we don't want them to be heard. That's one of the big uprisings today is young people want their voice to be heard. And so they want to talk about stuff, and we have to respect that they think different than we think. We thought a certain way when we were young too, but we didn't say too much about it because we get in trouble. But now they do think different from what we think. So let's talk about it. And we're gonna start tonight. Let's plunge right into it. When we talk about the gap, do y'all believe and think that there really is somewhat of a gap between our generations, my time, and maybe some of you? What do you think about that? Let's sort of look at that. What do you think that may be some of the gaps that we need to sort of try to bridge? And we'll start with, let's start with Aarion.
Well, I think that in light of everything that you just said about how you all didn't have electronics, you didn't have access to certain things, or what is it that I'm trying to say? Just access, basically. Some of our struggles and some of our challenges are because we have so much accessibility to different things, to social media. People we can interact with people quicker, or people can get to us quicker. We see so many different messages that we've seen growing up that have kind of shaped us, and there's this struggle that happens between what your parents are saying and what you're seeing in the media, and I think there's just a level of compassion that we need to reach for our millennials, because we have different struggles than y'all had coming up. I think, and sometimes you can't really relate. You all really can't relate to what we're dealing with because you had a different upbringing, basically.
Okay. I feel that. Anybody else who want to hit it next?
I would like to address that. I think if we look at what we are dealing with today in our society, with a lot of the injustice that's going on, and the rioting and the protesting, some violent, some is peaceful. I think if there wasn't a gap, we would have been able, we probably would be further along than where we are now. Okay. If the gap had been bridged, those that were before us would have been grooming the younger ones to continue the work, to keep pressing the issues, and to make sure laws were being enforced and people were being had access to voting and persevering even during voter suppression. So I think there is a generational gap, and it's mainly because the next generation feel like they got a better way, or they have more accessibility, or it's easier, or they don't. It's not. The gap is in communicating. It's in communicating and learning and being willing to be silent and to understand what was before. Okay, not saying that it was irrelevant, but let me build upon what was and continue the work of everything, even in your family, not just socially and what we're dealing with this social unrest, but even in building your families, or even your financial situations, or your personal health and wealth. So yeah, there is a generational gap. And those are my reasons why I feel like it exists.
All right. Who's going to tackle it next?
I'll go next. I think, can you hear me?
Yes.
I think, to piggyback off what Teresa was saying, I think that what happened is, my perspective is, the leaders from back in the day, and the church leaders and all of those, the struggle was different. You know, when you look at the Dr. Kings and all those people, they didn't have, and they weren't where we are now. They were fighting for those rights and those freedoms. And I think our generation, we were born with those freedoms. So we don't really understand the struggle. And so the leaders now, and it's not to knock leaders, but if you go to churches, most of the things that they teach now is about like prosperity and all this other kind of stuff. When back in the day, the movement, even the pastors, were political leaders. When you looked at the pastors, they were the ones out there marching with Dr. King and all those kind of things. Now you see some pastors out there, but I don't think this generation was groomed for this. We grew up watching documentaries of what's going on now in TV during Black History Month, but now that we're experiencing it, you know, I think it's a different. We don't know how to handle it the right way because we weren't taught. I hope I'm making sense. Like we weren't. Yeah. The leaders didn't back in the day. They were teaching this to the churches, to the congregation. It was a part of the sermons. You know, let's stand together. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do that. When we came along, we were already able to vote. We were already able to restaurants with white people and eat. We were already wasn't any segregation, even though racism was still there. But the physical part of segregation, where you had color only, water fountains, all that stuff was kind of phased out. So to us, we didn't have to experience that. Now that it's coming back strong, like
in your face.
Yeah, and now it's like they don't know what to do because the leaders weren't taught wasn't teaching this. They were just teaching, oh, go get your blessing, name in the claim. And I'm not saying nothing wrong with that, but you know, that's where I feel the gap is missing.
All right.
Can I quickly add to that? I believe that they taught prosperity so much because all they knew was struggle. So what they wanted for us was better. They wanted us to prosper. And for many of the millennials now, it's like a culture shock because they thought segregation and injustice and prejudice and racism was a thing of the past. Like some people may experience it, but it ain't gonna be up in our face. And now it's like, it's in your face. What? So we're dealing with the same thing Dr. King them dealt with, but just in a different way.
Yeah. Yep.
I got you. Who else gonna deal with that?
They didn't cover it.
Yeah.
Well, that is true, and I mean, you know, we've got some. I think one of the things, in my opinion, what helps us to bridge the gap is we got to have conversations, and we have to be respectful to each other when we have those conversations. But we have to. Everyone has. I remember one time, he's deceased now. Bishop Robert Richard Carr said something to me one time in Memphis. We were in the parking lot of Mason Temple, and I remember him saying something to me. He said that it's always stuck with me, and it's been like 20, 30 years ago. He said, Brother Martin, he said, they always would try to take away your right to have an opinion. And that thing stuck with me because everyone has an opinion, whether it's right or wrong, they have an opinion. And you have to give people the respect to have their opinion. And we could do it in a civil way. We don't have to be fighting one another. And so, you know, it's like your kids. Sometimes they be trying to tell you something. You be like, go sit down. And they be like, well, but daddy, go sit down. I said, yeah. And they be like, but daddy. And you be like, what is it? The water is running over on the floor. and you push them away, and they just try to help you out.
Right.
You know, sometimes we learn from each other, and there's some things. And so I think conversation is one of the things we really need to do when it comes to bridging this gap. We really got to have a conversation. Amen. I mean, we really got to we got to have a conversation without being disrespectful, without fighting. And you have to hear people out, because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm 59, but I don't have all the answers for stuff. Yeah. And somebody else that may be younger, just because they're younger and got a good answer and an idea, don't mean I just throw it away and be like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
They got an idea too. So we have to do that. So we talk about bridging the gap. There are those that someone said, this is Evangelist Glass, the ball was dropped in passing values. How to we're talking about, and this is good talk. So it was dropped. I mean, you think about it, we did a lot of things that we probably could have did a lot better. We need to respect each other's opinion. So those are things we definitely need to do. Go ahead.
That's a good point she brought up, because I know so many people, even baby boomers and maybe some Generation X in my generation, where the values were dropped because the main thing they said when they had children, I'm not going to do to them what my mama did to me. Yep. And those were things that kept us, that instilled values, that taught us that tenacity, taught us to step up and to speak up and be heard, and to endure, to work hard and not feel like anything is going to come easy, to not feel like you're privileged and owed anything. That is what I'm seeing in so many people, young people today, is like they feel like they're privileged or they're owed something, or people owe them something. But I believe that's where it came in, when a lot of baby boomers and Gen Xers were like, I'm not going to do to my children what my parents did to me. And that was a huge mistake.
All right. Now that make and it wasn't. And sometimes what they did, it was not bad. It was just the way they knew how to do it.
Yeah.
And it was a way that they were taught. And you know, some things we can't throw everything out.
Right.
Some stuff we got to keep because
Yes.
it teaches value. I can say this, and I'm not bragging. I've never been in jail. It's not
Entitled.
because I was so good. It's because of the values I was taught. They, my grandmother and them taught certain values, and so there's certain things I just didn't do because that just wasn't in me. So I think we do need to do that, and I don't think it's too late in many cases to do some of these things. I think we still got time to do. We just got to work on it. Yeah. So let's talk about. Of course, all of us know we are right in the middle of a pandemic, and it is. I don't know about y'all, but it feel like I'm on lockdown. When I get out the house, it'd be like, oh Lord, this feels like I'm just locked up. And so, what do y'all feel about this pandemic? I've never been in a pandemic. Not like this. And they talked about, we had one a long time ago. What are your thoughts about this pandemic? I know, especially because y'all used to being in the street. When I say in the street, not in a negative way, but getting out and being free and doing stuff. How has this affected you? What's your mindset on
it? Lena, let us hear from you. Lena and Blake.
Lord, how has it affected us? Well, it's affected me to the point where I'm just like, I'm excited to get out and go to Walmart.
Right.
Yes.
Just take me to the gas station.
Take me to
it's I'm just, I really feel like it's the last days. I saw a post on Facebook say somebody was looking at the window and say, what day of revelations are we living in today? And that's how I feel. I'm like, what's gonna happen next? Lord, help us. So it's been rough, but with God, I mean, it's bearable. But
yeah.
Well, it'll be good. I know it's been so rough. I was like, Lord, I'm getting out the house. Thank you, Jesus. Blake, what's going on, Blake? What did it do with you?
But it was the panic of the people around me that sort of worried me a little bit, and I was concerned because it just seems like it's still now, even in the middle of the pandemic, it just seems a lot of it's a lot of lies that being said on the news, and how they say Corona did this and that, and it's, to me, police and cancer has killed more people than Corona combined. Corona has nothing on the deaths that cancer has from cigarettes, from food, and nobody batted an eye about that. But as soon as Corona came out, oh God, hide from Corona, hide 6 feet. You can't sneeze without anybody looking at you funny. Ma'am, it's pollen outside. I can't breathe. My sinuses is blocked up, baby. Come on now. But yeah, it's the extraness that I'm like, and I'm not saying it's not real. Like the older generation, like, oh, y'all don't think this is real. All I'm saying is the news lies a lot. They lie a lot. They put a number up there and you just believe it. That's not how millennials work. We need you to show. You need to explain. I need to see.
What I say all the time, I'm always telling them they don't believe that meat is greasy. I mean, I know the news is lying. I know that people are dying from heart attacks and they blame it on Corona, or people got diabetes and they blame it on Corona, but they still out here all willy-nilly. And I'm always saying, y'all don't believe fat meat is greasy.
No, willy-nilly. I have a mask on every time I go out. I'm obeying the laws, but you lie too much.
I would say this. I feel like the generation before us, for some reason, when y'all see something on the news, it's like y'all take it at face value, and I feel like the millennials be like, let's look into this. Who said this? Like we question. I feel like millennials question a lot of stuff, which could be good and then it can be bad.
You know why?
I would definitely say it could be bad, but you all, like you said, Uncle Daddy, y'all, when y'all were coming up and your parents told you to do something, it was just like, we're just doing it.
We doing it.
And I feel like the millennials are kind of like, okay, what is the purpose behind this? And you know, we start asking questions. And like I said, I feel like
I strap fence.
I think I'm a little bit. I'm like the tail end or the beginning of a millennial.
Yeah, you
I was the one in the family that said, "Why can't I go to prom? I'm not gonna get pregnant." You dressed me in a way that nobody in high school desired me. So I'm gonna be okay. You know, so I did question the right. I mean, really. Nobody desired me because mother made sure of that. Anyway, those things are behind me. But I will say that I think Gen X, I just believe in following the science.
Okay.
I'm not buying everything that the news says, but I'm gonna follow the science. And if science is saying something, I'm like, look, this is Bible.
First.
To piggyback off something Aarion said about just watching the news and believing everything and millennials not. I think that's because, like I said, go back to what we talking about, bridging the gap. Y'all came up in the society that where only kind of news you guys got was from a newspaper or from watching the news. We grown up in social media era where, you know, in Photoshop era where we see a picture and then we go scroll down a bit more, like, oh no, that was fake. Here's the real picture. So it's like, oh well, I thought it was. So it's like we don't know what to believe. So that's a different era. Like back in the day, you hear someone on the news, you took it at face value because that was the news. Now it's like
we side eye everything.
Now, because I just saw this. That ain't even what happened. Like I saw the real video. You know what I'm saying? Right. They can tell you anything because could nobody have a cell phone and record. So think about I know we're gonna get to it, but think about all the stuff that just happened with, you know, the guy.
Richard.
If they would have just said that happened on TV, we were just like, oh, that was sad. They could have said fabricated any story. But because everybody in that line got a cell phone with a camera on it and you got different angles, you can't just tell me anything because
and they got out of line.
That's not what I saw. I saw this, I saw that. So that's the difference. So it's like same thing with Corona. You can say Corona killed 100,000 people, but a doctor just got on from New York, got on the thing saying, well, no, they told us that if anybody dies that don't have just put COVID-19.
Yeah.
If a doctor is saying that, but the news saying something else, who do we believe? So it's like,
report do we believe? Whose report do we believe? I shall believe the report of the Lord.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because it's the fact that everybody that has a phone has become their own. We are the news. Social media is the news that you can mostly rely on. Because like in the older generation, everybody the oppressor did this, the oppressor doing that. We walking down the street. Those people that you didn't like that are oppressing you now owns all of the news stations.
Yeah.
So whatever they want to feed you, that's what they're going to feed you. They want you to stay at home so they can build 5G towers or send tanks down the street. They're gonna do whatever they want to do. Yeah. So listen, let's keep them in fear. And again, I'm not saying it's not real.
Right.
But you say it's about how a virus works. It starts from the inside. But when you look on the news, it's on any surface for at least 500 days. No, that's not how a virus works. So I need you to get it right. Virus starts from the inside in the blood. It doesn't start from me touching a piece of metal. That's not how it works. So when I hear something that's saying that it don't add up, I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know because I was I said to Lena laughing. She believed the report of the Lord, but her and her mother, and I know her mother's watching.
Listen,
when I went out the house and come back in, Daddy, take shirt, wash your hand, go take a shower.
I'm not doing all
shirt
that.
off. I'm like, I mean, did something get on my shirt? Oh,
I
you
mean,
look. You can't touch
I ain't
King right
saying-
now. I'm like,
That's that
I straddle
new-
the fence.
that's that been new-
I'm in the generation that I ain't no ex or millennial nothing. I'm in the generation of be careful. I don't know what's true. Just in case they wash your hands and take a shower.
You should do it anyway. Take a shower,
Take a
please.
shower, please take a shower.
hey,
Yeah,
y'all are hilarious.
Look at
All
Blake.
right.
This man,
I wanna catch you through.
Right.
I don't want to catch you through the video.
But the crazy thing, we was doing this before if people sneeze, if anybody hang around me, people sneeze. I was
yes,
waiting
Side eye you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get
so
from
I
me.
was already like this.
Get behind me,
Hey,
Satan.
you let me tell y'all something like this watching. Lena and her mother can be in the store. And if you sneeze, and DL,
Yeah.
if
Don't
you
be
sneeze,
I'm gone.
they will get some and go to doing like this.
I
That's
move.
a lie.
And people be looking at them like, what are y'all doing?
That's
They do not play when you
That was before the
Man.
pandemic.
no sir.
and that was before all this happened. Oh Lord, that is funny. Y'all are hilarious. All right, so let's
Generation, be careful.
Right.
all right. So now let's get to some. We've seen a lot of protests, and I think DL mentioned it earlier that when they study protests by watching stuff, Dr. King and stuff like that in historical videos, but actually seeing something like this take place. Now, in 1992, I was out in LA when the riots broke out, when they found the officers innocent of beating Rodney King. I was right there in the riot zone. So I saw that firsthand. That was in 1992. But these riots that are going on today now, the riots in LA, they did the same thing. They burned places down and stole Mercedes. And I seen them walking down the street with TVs and sofas and all kind of stuff. So that happened back that day too. But as you all look at it, someone said something early, you almost thought, besides for a few incidents here and there, you almost thought that a lot of this stuff had sort of passed a little bit. But now you're seeing that it hadn't passed. And now it's not affecting somebody my age. It's affecting people your ages. So I'm sure y'all feel some kind of way. So when you talk about protesting now, I think a lot of more people would probably be out there if it wasn't for this pandemic. That it still was a lot of them out there, but a lot of people wouldn't have been out there. But now look at the fact that when you talk about the protest now, Tracy, I know you went down in the protest zone. You were down there protesting with the protesters. Did you have your mask? Did you have your mask on?
I did.
Okay, well, tell us about your protest.
well, actually, the arts community in Atlanta, the Black arts community in Atlanta, wanted to speak up and be heard and talk about the injustices in the theater community, and that's something that I'm very much a part of. And I knew that when I saw the man talking about I can't breathe, and he was talking first of all, it started with Ahmaud Arbery. To see that, and then not even a week later to see Lord, I can't
George Floyd.
George Floyd, it was like, I've got to do something. I grew up in a generation where it was you just go to church and you pray for people. And you pray about the situation and God will fix it. But when I saw that, I was so angry and so upset. So I was like, I can't just pray. I've got to do something. So when they said they were marching, I was like, this is my opportunity to put some action to the prayers and to the faith that I have, that I say I have, that God is going to be a God of justice. But I'm not going to sit back and wait on that. I'm going to get out here and be heard as well. So I did my signs and I went out there and I practiced every precaution. You couldn't necessarily be 6 feet away apart from each other, but I only stayed an hour. I did what I went there to do, and I left. And immediately I keep this hand sanitizer in the pocket of my car. So immediately I was, keeping myself sanitized as best as I knew how. But I just knew that I had to do something because I couldn't continue to do what I was ignorantly taught to do. Sit back and pray and let God fix it. Yeah, he will, but get out there and be seen, not be seen, but be heard. And being out there, it ignited me. It fueled me because it's not just, okay, this moment. No, what am I going to do? This was just the beginning. What am I going to make a conscious decision about doing different from this day forward and years to come? Because that's the only way we're going to actually bring about some change in our community. We got to figure out a whole new way of doing everything. You can't just boycott Chick-fil-A for a week. You can't boycott Starbucks for a month. You got to figure out, okay, am I going to just drink coffee from a fair trade company for years to come? So this was my time to say, you know what? No more. Enough is enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are those that criticize those that now I'm against the violence of the protests.
Right.
Burning things down, tearing stuff up. I think that goes a little bit beyond what we should do. Peaceful protests. But I understand. I really do. And I mean, you see it happen over and over again. And so people are protesting. And so I know that, I felt some kind of way. So I know y'all had to feel some kind of way. And it makes you sort of angry. Now we're going to be sort of transparent tonight. And, I hope some of you can take it. But I remember when I was a little boy, when I saw Roots. I never forget when I saw Roots. I never forget when I saw Roots. And then I saw somebody after that was, Caucasian. I felt some kind of way when I was looking at them. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. I had this kind of feeling toward them, and people don't like, we save and stuff, but we're human at the same time.
Yeah.
And we're people of color. And when things happen, it affects us. And so, I had a sort of feeling about that. And so when you see things like this that take place, it happens a lot. And so to protest, Dr. Kingdom protested. That's what they did. They protested. They did pray. Dio was right earlier. He said during that time, the pastors were the civil rights leaders.
Yes.
Dr. King was a pastor.
With the lawmakers.
Right. They were the ones that brought about some change because they were preaching it injustice and stuff from the pulpit. And that was where they mobilized. When Dr. Kingdom mobilized to bring about marches, they didn't do it in a school. They mobilized in churches.
In church.
That's where they did it at. So we need to go back and maybe, how they take something, you tweak it a little bit, but maybe we need to go back and get the playbook, if you want to call it, of Dr. Kingdom and understand that the change can begin with us speaking out and from the from church and stuff. So I think that was a good thing. And I saw a lot of people, and they're still protesting, and I understand. I mean, hey, it's a passionate protest, and I feel them, and I understand all that they're doing. Anybody else want to talk about the protest? Huh?
It's a passion, the protest with those masks on, because you're carrying the sign, you have on that mask, and you walking for miles. Yeah. And God knows what the weather is going to be like. So yeah, it is a passion.
Yeah. 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 But okay, so let's move. Now, this is what I want to get to. We almost done, y'all. I I'm looking at some of these comments and y'all are chiming in, and popping them on the screen. Brother Willie Allen, God bless you. I see y'all. Sister Sabrina.
I agree, Sabrina.
Yeah, she said, I don't understand burning down buildings and stealing stuff.
Well, can I say something? Can I say something?
Go ahead, Blake. Go ahead, Blake.
Who want to go first? Go, Blake.
Okay, let me say one thing about the protest. Now, it has, like I said, the news is carried by the people who is owned by the people who oppressed us and all that other stuff. And like I said, with our phones, everybody has become their own news channel, basically. Every Instagram page is their own news channel. Now, it has been shown that most of the black people were protesting peacefully. But yet you see a little white boy banging on the window, breaking windows, and then the black boy had to come back and be like, hey, what are you doing? They're gonna think we did that. Then there's another video of 2 police officers telling the white woman, paint Black Lives Matter right there. She spray painted it. And he said, oh, add George Floyd there. That'd be good. That'd be good. What are you doing? Then this Wendy's that burned down in Atlanta, they have a video and a picture of a white woman covered all the way up with these masks, with these COVID masks, covered completely. Why do you have flammables and a lighter? Why do you have that? No black person has just a random bomb that they can make or can have some fire stuff in their yard.
You know why I don't think black people burning stuff down? So when we try to put fries in the grease, we running.
We ain't doing that.
You know when black people walk around with burning.
Guess who like to camp? Guess who like to start fires and go camping? White people. Now, we ain't been camping. Now, we don't start fires.
We stole a few TVs now. I ain't gonna lie, but
we stole TVs.
We stole these fires.
We get that. I saw a few.
I feel like this. I feel like these people. I feel like the protests, like everybody saying, we have to get involved. I haven't been down there, and I'm gonna explain why I haven't been down there. It's not that I'm not for the cause, and I don't want to be in it, but it's like you said, God's still working on me. I'm not finna sit here and see. I'm this type of person. I don't like to be disrespected, and especially by nobody on the other side, the other race. So, for me to stay alive and be here for my family, I'm gonna protest from the house because my anger, like you said, because I was watching Selma the other day, because Redbox put Selma on there free. Now all of a sudden, all these companies want to put stuff on it. So I'm like, let's watch Selma again. And I had to cut it off because it's coming with the 4 girls in the bomb going off. I'm like, okay. And then I'm a father, so I'm like, okay, that just made me mad. I can't watch stuff like that because I don't want to be that black guy that just hate all white people, because that would take you there. Like once you start thinking about, all the stuff that done happened and still happening.
Yeah.
To see the video of the guy being knelt on, and then for me, what get it with George Floyd is not just that he put his knee on his neck, he put his hand in his pocket and had a posture of, I'm going to sit here
until you die.
So it was like you really
came and checked him. He still was sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you meant to kill this man. So the black human side of me wanted to go get my guns, find this guy, and blow his brains out. I ain't gonna lie.
Where the address is?
Side of me is like, okay, Jesus don't want you to do that. We supposed to love everybody. So, I'm kind of torn. And I know this. We don't want to talk about this. I'm kind of torn because we were taught that Jesus said, peace, follow peace, all that stuff. But when you see this as a human, it's like, okay, I'm not trying to hear that. We tried peace, but they not trying to be peaceful. So the next step is to handle it the other way. That was the divide between Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. So you still have those people now. You got people that's following Martin's way, and you got people that's like looking at Malcolm like, okay, where they at? Let's go.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the bridging. Go ahead, Lena. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you good. I was just gonna say, like, I keep seeing people talking about why burn down the Wendy's, why burn. And to me, if I feel like people more worried about a building than what happened at the place. And I told my mother, I was like, I got to be honest. I got a son, I got a brother, I got a father. If that had been one of them, it wouldn't have took Karen to burn that building down, because I probably would have been looking at that Wendy's saying that's where they took the life of my loved one.
Yeah.
I would have burned that thing down and took out a couple of people, because that's how furious I was. Why, I was just like, why? Why you have to do that? And I'm just being honest. I would have took that thing down myself. Because that was my loved one. That y'all, you done kill you. You didn't have to use that force. You got Dylan done killed 9 people in a church,
and get
y'all take him and get him a
walker.
Yeah, him.
I saw another clip where a man did the exact same thing. Blake, I'm gonna kick you so hard. If you but the man, a white man did the same.
Really, Blake?
Why did you have this Burger King?
Oh boy.
Dylan.
In the back of the police truck, they're sipping the drink.
Gave him a Burger King. Then you got I saw another video of a white guy did the same thing that Rayshard did. Took the police's taser, took off running after the police, tased him. He jumped in his car, chased the police around, hit the police car, and he made it to the jail alive. Rayshard did not.
Yeah.
And he asked
That's why I'm mad.
Just let
me
me
know. It wouldn't have took Karen to burn that Wendy's down. I would have blew it up myself, because y'all killing us for no reason. And they were mad.
But you know what?
You heard the man on the thing say he was mad because the guy was able to take his taser away from him. He said, "You took my taser away from me." That's why he was mad. That's why he killed him. Because I think the police already got a vendetta against everybody because of what's going on with the police with George Floyd. So they mad right now. And so I think they out trying. They ain't just killing the men; they're killing us. Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think what I really think is the police is trying to start a war with people. But this generation,
they been started a war.
Give it to them because they ain't scared. They gonna kill you. You gonna kill them, and they gonna kill you. They gonna take you out with them. Don't do that.
Let me say
this.
I
don't think this is what they want with this generation.
Let me say this. I believe that they won't talk about the Wendy's. Okay, so what? Those businesses and companies have insurance for stuff like
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. About Wendy's, he can get that. He's gonna put it somewhere else and still make more money.
Get employment for the workers.
Right. The thing about it is, the reason that they did it is because when we tried it the other way, you didn't hear me. It's just like with a child. It's just like with a child. With my children, I can say, "Sit down, sit down." By the time I do that 3rd or 4th time and I pull that belt out and hit you, now you want to sit down. And that's the same thing with the system. We can say, "Get off our neck, get off our neck. Let us get more jobs. Let us do this. Just give me a warning." And you kill us anyway. Eventually, we're gonna pull that belt out and we're gonna tap some high up. And that's what's going on. So these buildings is burning down. It's not about the building, but it took, if you notice now, there's a lot of things that have changed and it's still changing, but to be Caucasian in this world and you slip up and say something the wrong way, they've been firing people left and right. That hadn't happened before. There's different things that's going on now. So I believe that the demonstrations that's going on is it's saying to the people, "Oh, they're not playing now." See, in 1960, all we did was held hands. And I'm not knocking what they did. I understand that was the time and it was only so much you can do. 1960, they held hands, walked down the street. They got dogs sicked on water holes and all that kind of stuff and went to jail. Now, we coming out with the guns, with the bricks and all this stuff. Like, no, y'all not finna just push us down the street. We pushing back. Absolutely. And now they're like, okay, this is a different breed.
Yeah.
But we can't approach them the same way we approached Martin them. Like we gonna
pause that. Yeah. Pause that. There were I had to learn this. What you're saying. They held hands and did what they could do because there were certain laws that weren't passed.
Right.
So the way to bridge that gap is by honoring what they did for what they could do or what they were allowed to do.
Absolutely.
And we're going to take it from here.
Right.
Because you all did march hand in hand and did the nonviolent protest, and you sat in the Woolworth at the kitchen counter, for a year or more, we are able to speak up.
Yeah,
we are able, and I'm not condoning violence.
Right.
We are, your generation will strike a police without fear now.
Will.
yeah.
But back then, but because of that, and talking about bridging that gap, we have to say, because of them,
We standing on their
are
shoulder.
now able to.
Yeah.
So just like Emmett Till got killed for they say looking at a white woman whistling.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I just saw a black guy smack the fire out of a white woman, and he wasn't feel. You know what I'm saying? And not the condoning that, but I'm just saying that's the difference in that and this. It's just I don't know. Like you said, I'm not condoning all the
violence,
the violence, beating stuff up, and hitting people and all that. Like I don't. And let me get this straight. I don't hate white. I have plenty of Caucasian friends. All of us do, but I feel like we have to make sure that they understand where we are. That whole all lives matter thing. I get what y'all trying to say, but it's not all lives that's in jeopardy right now.
Let's focus on one thing right now.
Yeah, it's not about the all lives. We know all lives matter, but it's
every house ain't on fire right now.
Right, we're under attack.
Right, so that's what we had with it.
Blake.
Oh, it's on me now. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me a quick moment. This is a quick moment to like take in. I have a few points here.
Mm-hmm.
One. I saw someone saying that George Floyd faked his death or whatever. He's still alive somewhere with money. But the thing is, it's not about just George Floyd. He was the tipping point for a pile of bodies that kept stacking up and that we're sick of. That's the first point. Second point is, one without the other, there is a balance that is needed between like the bridging of the gaps of the younger and the older generation. Yes, there's time to pray. What's the scripture? It's time for love, time for peace, time for war.
Time to kill.
Yes, God is a God of love. God is a God of peace. But yes, God is also a God of war and destruction. Because in the Bible, Moses, without even fighting, without lifting a hand, he led Moses across the Red Sea and drowned an army and the Pharaoh and his leader. He hardened his heart. He made him go into the ocean and drown. So at that point, he is still at that point unique because he followed direction from God. So with the older generation.
Oh Lord, don't freeze up on us. Don't freeze up on us. We're in the middle of a great word.
The enemy don't want this word
on the tactic of how to how are we going to, because we can't just go out and fight everybody because then they're going to.
Blake got T-Mobile.
Wow. We can have all the fight we can have. We can have all the fight. We can be, oh yeah, I'm ready to fight. But the thing is, myself, our generation ourselves can't do nothing if they bring up tanks. So that's why we need the Holy Ghost, Jesus.
We need God to give us the strategy.
And we didn't make it physical. You made it physical.
Right.
You made it physical.
Yeah.
Right. So now there needs to be a spiritual and physical balance between for
Lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
T-Mobile.
I have T-Mobile.
Everybody. You know, today T-Mobile brought Sprint, so they're doing the switch over. I couldn't make calls today, could get no text. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully they get this right between now and tomorrow.
Not a warning or nothing, Jesus.
All right, y'all. Listen, we've been on here a minute. Let's sort of get this and let's hit one or two things that I think are important for those that are watching, and let's sort of deal with this. Real quick, if you had some things to do over, what is one of the main things you would do over at this point in your life? If there was a song in the world, if I could turn back the hands of time, what would you do over if you had to, if you had that opportunity to go back and do something over? What would you do?
Stack my paper.
Beat the mess out of the boy that slapped me in 9th grade. I'm just playing.
For me, I would stack my paper. I would have started stacking it earlier. I'm stacking it now, but I would have stacked my paper earlier when I was doing tour after tour after tour. I just had a disease. It was like we were on tour buses, and every time we stopped somewhere, I was at a shopping center, you know. So I shop a lot of my wealth away, but I'm glad that God is allowing me to redeem the time. But I definitely, I definitely would have stacked. I would have invested and saved more. Yeah, while on the road.
All right. Who else, Seuss?
I would, me personally, I would make sure that I kept my credit in good standing. Pay and made sure that I paid all my bills when I was supposed to pay. That's something that I really didn't understand the value of as a youngster. I just, I walked into Macy's, they were like, "You want to apply for a credit card?" I did, got all this money. I'm like, "Oh, I can apply for credit cards, credit card city." Now, like, man, if I get my credit right, I can get a house, get this. I wish, so if I could go back with this knowledge, I'd be like, okay, make sure you credit good. And the same thing as Latrice saying, like, when you get some money, you ain't got to go buy some Jordans all the time. Put the money up. You ain't got to go to Houston's and eat nice all the time. You can do it every now and then.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, me, I just had money. I was getting money, and you took care of everything. You paid all the bills, so I didn't have nothing to pay. So to me, that's just my money to spend. So if I'm getting, thousands of dollars or whatever the case may be, I'm going to spend it. And I would invest in stock. I would have invested in a lot of things that's going on now. Probably would have been a millionaire. So that's what I would redo. Just finances, really.
Pretty much.
Aarion?
Well, I'm not that old, y'all. I'm only 26. So I'm to go back is just to go back to elementary school. But I probably
you know what we saying.
Right.
right. But I definitely would have applied myself more in school. I'll say that. I feel like I could have been further along as far as education goes. Like looking at myself and being really introspective at this point, I feel like I could have reached some heights as far as education goes that I didn't. And not to say that it's over, but I feel like I didn't really unlock a whole lot of potential in school. And so I kind of wish I could do that over and to just be more active, like be a part of things instead of just no shade, because it has built me and it has sustained me to be who I am now. But I feel like I probably would have wanted more balance instead of just going to church every night.
Mm-hmm.
To be on the soccer team or to cheer or just to have a more of a balance. That's probably what I would have liked to do over.
All right. Lena?
Oh, nothing, because I'm perfect. No, just wait.
Won't redo.
No, I would change everything that everybody's saying. Finances, credit. I would have did so much better with all of that. Saving money, not getting those credit cards. Even with Aarion, balance. Learning some instruments, some musical instruments. Just doing. I probably would have started a business. By now. Something to. Other than because we come from a musical family, everybody sing, even our animals. But I would do something outside of music to have more income coming in. Something. I would just do a whole lot of things different, like a whole lot of things. So.
Dang, sis. Dang.
All right, Blake.
Yes. I would have stopped eating. I would have stopped eating.
Hey, I'm with you on that.
I'm that's serious, Mom. Playing
No, for real.
at the same time. I'm serious, but that's all included in the whole thing of like having an understanding of what actions. Because back I didn't understand the actions that I took back then, how it would affect me now. If you would have learned the music when the classes were free, if you would have learned reading the music, you would have way more money than you have now. If you would have not gone and if you would have just got a salad from going to Korea when y'all went every day, you wouldn't have to try to figure out how to get this off. If you would have talked to that girl or been more social, maybe you wouldn't be so awkward at 20. How old am I? 23. All these things is just like, fam, get it together. Get it together, people. Get it together, son. It's not that difficult. But now it is because you're at an older age and you should have learned these things in the past. But yeah, understanding the decisions. Understanding decisions.
That's good, Blake.
All right. We're just about through. Now let me I got one more thing. We'll talk about life lessons toward the end, but let me address something make it very clear. Now I see there's a person on here. I think you on YouTube, Captain Underpants. That's your name.
Yeah.
He's getting on my nerves.
Always playing the victim. And did y'all fall for the George Floyd hoax? I don't know who you are, and I don't know who you playing with or who you think you playing with, but this is the wrong lie for you to play on. I promise you that, because you don't have the right. If it's a hoax, then he's dead. The thing that I don't understand about when you always use the term "you people," so I'm not going to use that term. What I don't understand about when you address stuff and say stuff like what you're saying and talk about being a hoax. Now, if it was the other way around, of course, I wouldn't be in the street. But I tell you what, if it was the other way around, the police officer would have been a black man with his knee on a white man. He probably would have not only been locked up the same day, he probably would have been somewhere. They probably had to hide him by now. So when you come on and you say you are one of the reasons and the problems that we have today because of the stuff you say, everything is a hoax. It's a hoax to you because maybe if you're Caucasian, it's a hoax to you. It's not a hoax to us. Neither it is a joke. So when you start talking about, well, they knew each other, that's what the news said. I don't know if that's totally true. It could be. If it is true, then that makes it even more egregious for him to have his knee on the man's neck. And then we just saw a police officer here in Atlanta just shoot a black guy unarmed. So, and we saw two white men, should I say, three, chase a man down that they thought was burglarizing, and neither one of them was police officers, and shot the man with a shotgun. You can say what you want to say, but this is not the live to play games. I'm not the one to play games with you. I am a pastor, but I do not play.
You're going to be the one in the red seat.
If you don't have anything good to say, why are you here? If you think it's a hoax, go get your own live, start your own live, and do what you're going to do. You can talk about hoax all you want to on your own live. But this one here, this is my live. This is what I brought to talk about. And so you have to address anything you ask. I'm addressing it because you just seem to be that you're immature and just got to get an answer. So here I am to give you an answer. So at the end of the day, sir, go play with somebody else. Toys R Us closed, and if they open, go play with Toys R Us. I'm not a toy, and I don't play.
Right.
And how dare you use one of my favorite comic book characters as your name and start doing this foolishness, Captain Under
Blake.
Oh God. He's a fruit of the loom.
He's the best guy.
All right. Now that we got that over with,
we got to edit that part out.
I got to edit that part out.
We got that one over with.
Let's work is professional.
Let's do this.
Work is professional.
All right, let's do this last one, and we got life lessons that we've learned. So we've learned some things in life. We've learned some things about whatever. So we've learned all of those life lessons. So now here's the last thing I want to last two. What advice with the older you give to the younger you? I know you have some do-overs, but what is the one thing that if you were standing looking at the older you, looking at the younger you, what would you say?
I'll just cry. Sis.
Man, I'm about to cry right now.
Go back to
Woo.
heaven.
I would say the older me looking at the younger me, I would tell her to be okay with waiting in
Okay.
everything. Be okay with waiting. It's okay to be still. That's it.
Yeah. Who else?
I would tell my younger self to not try to please everybody. I've grown up trying to please family, friends, and everybody, and try to do what they thought I should do. And I feel like a lot of things that I could have done or should have done, I didn't do because I wanted to have everybody's or make everybody happy. So I would tell them, like, listen, if you want to go to California, go to California. If you want to do this, do it. If you want to, go to music school, go to music school. Like, don't sit around and just try to make everybody happy. And then the other thing I would tell myself is, I know it's gonna sound comical, but I mean it. Like, slow down on this eating, boy, because you
Stop.
You gonna get up there, like I know it's good. But
I have a 12-pack.
You know what it tastes like already. You don't need a steamer pack of crystals. You already know what crystals taste like. Just get the phone and drink you some water. I would. I just watched. This is an interesting question because I just watched Back to the Future, and that's what one of the things that happened. The guy went back and gave his younger self some advice so he can become rich. So I would tell him, I said, listen, take care of yourself because health problems is real, and you want to live long enough to see your family, your children grow up, and all this stuff. So,
all right. Anybody else?
I would just tell myself that you're good enough. You're good enough, and you're good enough. That's it. Like you are more than enough, and you are loved. You have so much love, and just be content. Like you have everything you need to be great.
You
are beautiful.
Lena?
I would tell myself to have more self-esteem. You ain't gotta bend over backwards to try to make people like you. They gonna like you. They gonna like you. They don't. Keep on pushing and do you, regardless, no matter what.
All right, Blake.
I
know you're not that old, so
just tell yourself now.
Go ahead and tell yourself now since you got it.
Put that Burger King up.
Right.
Tell yourself to switch to
that's already been eaten. That's already been eaten. It's over. I'm sorry, but
you should tell yourself to go to Verizon.
Right.
AT&T,
whatever you want.
First of all, this is your Wi-Fi. This is so don't do that. But on the serious, become. I don't even know how you would tell a young person how to work on being emotionally stable because he probably don't even know that. But learn how to experience and feel emotion. Go straight to depression and anger. And those two slots, depression is either you killing yourself or anger, you want to kill somebody else. And you continue to have to fight that, and because you don't know how to use the other emotions that you're feeling from yourself, from people things that are out of your control. You have to learn how to control your emotions because that's the one thing you can control. All these other things is out of your control. I'm sorry that it happened to you. It's messed up, but That's one thing you can control is your emotions and be confident. That's about it.
All right. Well, listen, y'all, we've been on here about an hour and 10 minutes. We're going to get off here. Those that are with us tonight, we've had some very interesting comments. I see Sister Kari here. I see Sister Cherry here. There's a whole bunch of people. Sister Daphne Roberts is here that came on tonight. We have had a wonderful time. Now, listen, let me say, you know, at the end of the day, and I brought everyone on tonight that's family. My son, my daughter, my sister Tracy, and nephew and niece. At the end of the day, now, you know, a lot of people talk about families and stuff, and you see a lot of things played out on TV about family and stuff. One thing I found out about family, that at the end of the day, we're still family. Now, we have our own inner thing that we go through. You know, sometimes we go through a whole bunch of stuff, but it's family. But don't ever cross the line and believe that you can do what I do with family. Because we don't do that. We are family. You better believe that we are family, and we just don't play. We're having fun tonight, and I thought I would have them to come on and express their feelings, because they think a whole lot different from what we think and how I think, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let me say this last thing. I was thinking about today. I saw a post today. A friend of mine made a post about how a lot of I want to make sure you see me when I say this. He made a post of how a lot of pastors are getting discouraged because their sons or whoever, you know, don't want to follow them in ministry or whatever. I want to say this. You know, sometimes one of the things I think has been a gap for us is we want to make and we want to live our lives through our children. We want them to do what we did or what we want them to do. And all of them think different. Deal, he's a minister, he plays the organ. But now if he doesn't want to, if he don't feel that the Lord has called him to pastor, I'm not going to pressure him in to doing what he don't feel he's pressured to do, or he's called to do, should I say, or has a passion to do. Because if he's not called to it and he don't have a passion to do it, what's going to happen is he's going to be doing something, and eventually he's just going to get sick and tired of it and go doing something else. So we don't want to pressure them into doing what we think and living our lives. You know, I want you to be a doctor. I want you to be this. Sometimes you got to help encourage them and steer them to find their own path and help them to get there. And once they get there, you know, encourage them and help them as much as you can. But I won't fall out if I'm not the pastor of Restoration tomorrow and Deal decided I don't want to take over this church. I won't be losing no sleep over that, because I think sometimes that is a gap that we have, that we don't trust one another enough to believe that it's possible that someone can make a good choice for their lives. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we can't always make those choices because we don't know where people are. And so I wanted to say that because I think that's very important. A lot of times we're making choices for people and for our children and family and friends. And sometimes that's just not what they feel. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know, we're not going to fall out about that, you know, and stuff like that. Let them follow their passion. Let them do. And one thing that I was always told, Marco used to tell me, you do what you want to do, but if it get hard, you can always come back. Thank God I never had to go back, but he left that door open. And so I think we need to work on doing that and helping out with that. And the last thing I want to get everyone, take about 30 seconds to a minute and give an encouraging word to someone that may be listening, that may say, y'all have sort of helped me tonight. Y'all have touched me in the area. Y'all talked about some stuff that we laughed, we talked, we were serious about some points. I know some things were a little touchy, but it's just the way we feel, and nothing wrong with voicing your opinion. Nothing wrong with saying the way you feel. Sometimes it's best to get it out, say what you feel, and then move on. So we've done that tonight. And I want to say to those of you that are watching, if you're young, believe me, I got my way of doing stuff, but I'm not fighting you. I hope you're not fighting me. We all need each other to get there. We all need to build this bridge together. One of the things that I've always thought, and I've always been very interested in when I look at documentaries a lot, and I look at those, how they build those bridges over water. That's always fascinated me, how they build bridges over water, especially not just a lake, but we're talking about oceans. How do they build those things over that? And then when you start looking at how they go down in the water and create those cement concrete things and then bring them up and build bridges. When we used to go to New Orleans and we used to get on that bridge, I think it's 22 miles or whatever of nothing but water. Somebody built a bridge from one part of a land to another part of a land, 22 miles apart. And so the question that we should leave ourselves with tonight is, we're talking about bridging the gap. Are we really bridging the gap? Or are we just trying to do whatever? We need to bridge, because all of us gonna have to go across this bridge. I'm not gonna tear the bridge down. I got to drive across. We all gonna make it, and we need one another. So let's give somebody an encouraging word tonight that will encourage them before we get out of here. And we'll start with the ladies first. We'll start with Tracy, then we go Lena, Aarion, then we go Blake, and then we'll close with Dia.
I'll say two quick things. In given the climate of what we're in right now, let us seek to understand. Let us be slow to speak and quick to hear, and seek to understand one another, not just of different nationalities, but even within our own race. We all have had different experiences that cause us to react certain ways, or that cause us to say the things that we say. So even in our social media dealings, don't just attack people with your fingers. Seek to understand why they are saying the things that they're saying, so that we can communicate and bridge those communication gaps. The last thing we talked about, what would we tell our younger selves, or what would we do differently? Be kind to yourself, everybody. Realize that you did the best you could with what you have. And when you come into the knowledge of more or doing better, then just do more and do better. But be okay with where you are, and have a plan to getting to where you want to get to.
Lena Martin?
To encourage everybody, I'll just tell you to stay strong. Love each other. Stick together. There's power in unity. Don't fight each other. We all in this together. So I would tell each other, just let's stick together, love each other, stay strong. And even if you feel like you're not that strong one, you always the one that's got to be the strong one. If you feel like you it's too much today, I can't deal with this today. Whatever it is, whatever the situation is, call your friend, call your family, call your neighbor. And don't try to do it on your own. I've seen so many people in the middle of this pandemic not even dying from the virus. They killing themselves. It's just they overwhelmed with life, period, because they losing jobs, they losing money, they can't handle it. So I say it's power in unity. If you feel like you need to call on a friend, call on them, whatever it is that you need to do, just stay strong. And if you're not, call somebody.
All right. Aarion?
Wow, everybody's kind of touched on what I wanted to say. But Auntie Tracy was saying, be kind to yourself. Just choose to be in a good mood. Whatever helps you and elevates you, continue to do that, and just keep going. Like, continue to persevere, and know that. I heard a quote from Maya Angelou that says, "Every storm runs out of rain." So just know that things are going to get better. Like, they're going to get better. Stay positive, stay hopeful, stay accountable. I want to speak to the millennials that are watching or listening. we need our older generation. You know, sometimes with them, honestly, sometimes we do have to just eat the fish and spit some bones out. But there's so much good. They have so much wisdom, and so much that we can glean from them. So stay accountable. They've been where we are. I know there are a lot of things that are different, but some things don't change. Some principles and some life lessons just repeat themselves, and they can help us from making dumb decisions, dumb moves. So just stay accountable, and yeah, just take care of yourself mentally, physically. Continue to just push yourself, and every day is you can start over. I've been telling myself that God has as many new beginnings as we need. So just continue to start over and just keep going.
All right.
Let's
Blake.
raise an offer.
Blake.
As Lena said, call somebody. Cute females from 20 to 23, under 5'3", call me at 6'7". I'm playing. But for real, panic. Do not panic. Do not panic, because you can make sound decisions. You won't be able to hear the Lord. You won't be able to walk the steps that you need to walk if you are panicking. Yes, it is very serious. It is very tragic. Tragic things are happening all around us. It seems like there is no peace. But in everything that's happening around us, find your peace in God and do not panic. That's all.
All right. All right, dear, you got that final word.
Why you give me the final word like I'm?
Because you're the bishop.
Just said I'm not pastor.
But yes, you got a Bible.
1 Corinthians 13.
Oh God.
Help us,
And now abide of faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity. And we know that means love. I would say this, man. Love everybody. I know what's going on, but Jesus told us to love. At the end of the day, what we have to remember is that this is not the end. You have to still make it to heaven. You have to still make it into the kingdom. And you don't want to miss that for a momentary thing. We understand, if we're Christians and we understand, we read the same Bible, that these things were going to happen and they have to happen. You know, Stay strong in your faith, stay strong in God, stay strong, and remember that God is still in control. It doesn't matter who's in the White House, it doesn't matter who your senator is, it doesn't matter who your governor is, it doesn't matter who any of these people are. At the end of the day, what God is going to allow to happen is what's going to happen. And he has everything under control. And we have Jesus. Jesus is our king. And he commanded us to love. Let's love each other. Because at the end of the day, I want to see everybody make it in the kingdom. I don't want you to miss it because of this. This is strategies of the enemy. Let's bind together and love each other. And love yourself. Because when you don't love yourself, that's when you start getting into depression and all this other stuff. Let's just love. That's all I need to say. Love. This is not it. At the end of the we I know it's a cliche. We read the end of the book and we know how it ends. This isn't it. Don't miss it. Don't miss heaven. Don't miss God. Don't miss Jesus because of what's going on. Yeah, we understand. We upset. We're black. We're being oppressed. There's different things going on. And we need to make a stand in March. Let's do that. But don't miss heaven.
Yeah.
Hatred and all this other kind of stuff. And I know it's kind of thing, you can't say that nowadays. People like, listen, understand who you are. It's appointed once for man to die, and after that, the judgment. But when you die, what will God say about you handling these situations? Mm-hmm. That's how I look at it. I look at it from different eyes. I look at it, from a spiritual standpoint. At the end of the day, I want God to say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You handled that well." That's all I got to say.
All right.
Oh shit!
Well,
it's time to raise an offering.
I tell you all, y'all have been Y'all been something tonight. Let me bring this. Hey everybody, let's send some emojis, get some hand claps to this to these guests tonight. Miss LaTrice Pace, Dennis DL, Lele Patrice, Blake Pace, and look at Aarion Rhodes. I mean, we just had some fun tonight.
Yeah.
And about 2 weeks ago, and I'm finished. This came in my spirit, and I just need.
I
Yes,
mean,
ma'am.
you've been finished.
It's a Kojic finish.
That's that.
You said that, and this is our last point.
This is my Kojic close. Hold on, that means I got at least 15 more minutes.
Wow.
But I wanted to do this because all of the stuff, people are locked in, pandemic, people worrying about this virus, people are losing relatives and stuff, and I wanted our family to come on and just spread some joy with you and let you know we've got some gaps and stuff, but we're working on them, and we're gonna make it. We're getting better. And I want to say to those of you that are watching, before you leave, they so well said it and put it tonight. Let's keep working. Let's help one another. Let's build one another. Let's love one another. There's a friend of mine from Buffalo, New York. I'm working on I told him I'm working on a song. He did a song, and the name of the song is "Love is the Healing." And love is what we need. And that's really what we need. We need love, and we need to love one another. And if we keep doing that, then we're going to be all right. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it feels difficult. But at the end of the day, all of us are going to make it. I believe we're going to make it. In my closing tonight, thank you again for joining us. Let me say to you, our best days are ahead of us and not behind. The Lord bless you and the Lord keep you tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Pastor Martin.
Bye.
Thank you. Hey, bye everybody. Thank y'all for being a part. I've certainly enjoyed you all tonight. Thank you. Thank you. We're getting out of here. God bless you.